The school beauty intervened between Guhan and me, and she even asked me to inform Guhan to meet her in the alley tonight. I refused her and told her that Guhan wouldn't go. As a result, the school beauty went missing and was abducted by human traffickers. Everyone blamed me, but only Guhan was understanding. 5 years later, I suffered a difficult childbirth, and Guhan chose not to resuscitate me. He leaned close to my ear and said, "You deserve it," returning to that year. I immediately informed Guhan about the school beauty's invitation. The second semester of senior year was a critical period for studying. Bai Kaiwei came to the classroom of Class 2, Grade 3, to find me. "Song Jiqing, can you help me give this letter to Guhan and tell him to meet me at the alley behind the school after the evening self-study ends?" I sat in my seat, in a daze, staring blankly at the pink letter in front of me. This scene had played out countless times in my mind. Could it be that I have been reborn? Just a moment ago, I was lying on the operating table, and the doctor announced my difficult labor, hesitantly looking at my husband, Guhan. I was drenched in sweat from the pain, my strength gradually waning. With great effort, I opened my eyes to look at Guyan. I saw the unusually cold expression on his face at that moment. He said, "Just save the child." I widened my eyes in shock, unable to believe it, but I couldn't speak a word now. Guhan leaned close to my ear, speaking softly like a lover's whisper. "Qingqing, you caused Kaiwei to be abducted back then, and she's still missing to this day. How can you live so comfortably all these years without a care in the world? Remember, this is all your own doing. You deserve it." His eyes held a terrifying hatred. I had no idea that my husband, who had always been gentle and tolerant towards me, had been harboring lingering feelings for Bai Kaiwei all along, and even chose this moment to avenge her. He also resented me, blaming me for not giving him that love letter in time and for not telling him about Bai Kaiwei's invitation. If I could relive my life. "Song Jiqing, are you deaf?" Bai Kaiwei looked at me arrogantly, waving the scented letter in her hand. "What? Unwilling to give the letter to Guhan? Are you that afraid I'll take Guhan away from you?" I snapped back to reality, staring fixedly at Bai Kaiwei in front of me. I was back to that year in high school, the day Bai Kaiwei disappeared and was abducted. Last time, I was upset about Bai Kaiwei's attempt to interfere in my relationship with Guhan, so I refused to deliver this letter to Guhan. I also refused to relay her message, unwilling to let Guhan meet her. But that night, Bai Kaiwei still went to the alley behind the school. There were no surveillance cameras, and no streetlights. A person, whose origin is unknown, found Bai Kaiwei alone in an alley and forcibly took her away. It wasn't until 3 days later when the police found me that I learned Bai Kaiwei had gone missing. As a result, I became the prime culprit in the eyes of Bai Kaiwei's parents and the entire school, subjected to verbal condemnation. They all believed that I was the one who harmed her. Only Guhan stood firmly on my side, telling me that he believed it wasn't my fault. I was deeply touched and married him after graduating from university, but what I didn't expect was that Guhan actually harbored resentment towards me all along. Closing my eyes for a moment, I opened them again and smiled as I took the pink envelope. "All right, I'll give it to him." Bai Kaiwei was stunned. "Have you changed your mind? You're really going to help me give it to him?" I nodded, speaking very seriously and solemnly. "Don't worry. I will definitely deliver the letter and also tell him that you will be waiting for him in the alley tonight." She chuckled and gave me a once-over. "Looks like you know you're too ugly to match Guhan. Why not just step aside early instead of clinging to him? You and Guhan are a perfect match made in heaven. I wish you a long-lasting love and a happy union for 100 years. Satisfied after my flattery, Bai Kaiwei finally smiled. "All right. Remember to have Guhan come see me tonight." After seeing Bai Kaiwei off, I sat back down in my seat, looking around the familiar yet unfamiliar classroom, and only then did my heart seem to settle, starting to beat rapidly. Did I really get a second chance, reborn on the day that changed my entire life and destiny? "Qingqing, Qingqing." A familiar voice suddenly came from my ear. I turned around, and a cute girl with short hair that reached her ears tilted her head and looked at me. I remember her. She was my deskmate and also my best friend, Gun Lele, but after Bai Kaiwei's incident, she became one of those who condemned me. When my desk was splattered with ink, I was locked in the bathroom all night, and I was bullied and insulted by my classmates. She asked the teacher to not let us sit together anymore, because she didn't want to be near me. This jinx, everyone blamed me, saying that if I hadn't kept it from Guhan, Bai Kaiwei wouldn't have waited in vain for him in the alley, and she wouldn't have gotten into trouble. But Gun Lele was clearly by my side at the time, hearing my conversation with Bai Kaiwei and knowing that I said Guhan wouldn't show up, so she shouldn't wait. "Qingqing, what's wrong with you? Are you so angry that you're confused?" Gun Lele reached up to touch my head, but I quickly covered my head. She paused, taken aback. "Qingqing, I was often bullied by these classmates back then, and it had become a conditioned reflex." I forced a smile, pulling at the corner of my mouth. Lele, is there something you need? She leaned in, her face a picture of curiosity. You and Guhan aren't a couple, are you? Seeing the school belle make such a grand entrance, aiming to be the other woman, yet you're just handing Guhan over. Aren't you afraid of losing your boyfriend? I recalled the expression of utter hatred on Guhan's face just before my death in my previous life. It must be that he and Bai Kaiwei were already entangled, I sneered. If he can be stolen, it means he's not worth much anyway. I should actually thank Bai Kaiwei for letting me get rid of a scumbag early. Gun Lele winked at me and gave me a thumbs up, as expected of my Qingjie. So wise, a figure suddenly walked in from the classroom door. The boy was tall and handsome, almost identical to the man he would become in the future, except for the hint of youthfulness on his face. He walked straight to my desk and pulled out a box of Wangzai milk from his pocket. Here, I got it for you, just like you asked. I froze, unable to speak for a moment. The familiar face before me constantly reminded me of the despair and pain of my previous life. Guhan's large hand gently rubbed the top of my head. What's wrong? Are you starving? I took a deep breath. It's okay, just a bit unwell. He came closer to me, looking concerned. Where are you feeling unwell? Come, let me take you to the school clinic first. His proximity only made me feel disgusted. I immediately pushed him away. He frowned, a bit puzzled. Qing, I'm really fine. Oh, right. Bai Kaiwei came to see you earlier, but you weren't here. She asked me to give this to you. I handed the pink letter to Guhan. What this letter represents is clear to everyone. Guhan's eyes flickered repeatedly as he cautiously glanced at my expression. But he still took it. Bai Kaiwei just loves joking around. I'll go return this to her. What did she tell you? I smiled slightly. She said she'll meet you in the alley behind the school after evening self-study. Guhan Ahmed then weakly explained. Qing, Bai Kaiwei and we're just friends. I shrugged. I know. I trust you. I trusted Guhan, who had already been in contact with Bai Kaiwei behind my back. What he didn't know was that whenever he lied, he would stutter. Guhan and I have been playing together since we were kids. Our families are neighbors, and my mom and Guhan's mom were best friends when they were young. Their relationship was so close that they even wanted to become in-laws by arranging a betrothal between Guhan and me. Fortunately, that plan was eventually abandoned. Before high school, Guhan was a short, chubby kid, but when he entered high school, he suddenly grew taller like a sapling, and he became more and more handsome. He was even crowned as the school hunk by his classmates. Many girls fell for him, and I was no exception. Taking advantage of being close to him, I was the first to confess my feelings to Guhan. Guhan said we were too close, so he didn't agree, so I pursued Guhan for 2 years, from freshman to senior year, and finally last month, he gave in and agreed to my pursuit. And Bai Kaiwei also transferred to the next class last month. She was beautiful, came from a wealthy family. And every day she wore exquisite makeup and pretty dresses, which were in stark contrast to me, a bookworm who always lived disheveled and buried in my studies. With her beauty, Bai Kaiwei became the school belle. I never thought I would be with Gu Hantian forever, but I didn't expect that just a month later, he would start cheating. Everyone in the school knew that Gu Han and I were a couple. During a break, while Gu Han went to buy me milk, Bai Kaiwei actually came to me, Guhan's official girlfriend, and asked me to help her pass on a love letter and deliver a message. It's hard to say she wasn't doing it on purpose, but it doesn't really matter. I no longer care about these things. Guhan is indeed overly concerned about Bai Kaiwei. Ever since I told him that Bai Kaiwei had invited him out in the evening, I could see him sitting diagonally across from me, restless throughout the entire evening self-study session, frequently glancing at his watch. When the school finally let out, Guhan bolted out without even looking at me once. These signs are already obvious enough. Guhan likes not me, but Bai Kaiwei. Gun Lele's gaze at me was filled with sympathy. Qing, you've really been cheated on by the school belle. I didn't say anything. I just walked out while dialing a number. After a while, I arrived at the fork in the road behind the school. It was already late at night. This was the last streetlight on the street. Once I turned the corner, I could enter that alley. The alley was pitch dark and rarely anyone passed through it. I leaned against the streetlight, holding my phone as if I were on a call. Guhan and Bai Kaiwei should already be inside. I counted the time aimlessly. A few minutes later, 3 shifty-looking men walked over from a distance. Seeing me, their footsteps paused for a moment, as if they were sizing me up, their eyes scanning over me. I gritted my teeth. My heart seemed to leap into my throat, and all the blood in my body was about to congeal. I struggled to control my trembling and shouted into the phone, "You bastards, I've been waiting here for several minutes. How much longer? We're just behind the school, almost there. Hurry up, so many brothers are waiting." Seeing those few people still staring at me, I rolled my eyes dramatically and said in a gruff voice, "What are you looking at me for? Haven't you ever seen a woman before?" Keep looking and I'll have my brothers gouge your eyeballs out. Now get lost." They exchanged glances, ignored my continued ranting, and headed toward the dark alley. As soon as they left, I could barely stand, my legs weak as I leaned against the street lamp. This is the best acting I've ever done in my life. Before I could recover, a faint scream suddenly came from the alley. "It's by Kaiwei." It makes sense. How could a beautiful girl like Bai Kaiwei, who is powerless, and Guhan, who only plays basketball after class, possibly stand a chance against a vicious criminal? The accusations that had weighed on me like mountains in my previous life made me mistakenly believe that all the tragedies were caused by me, but now the facts prove that whether I tell Guhan or not, the truth remains unchanged. The fault lies with these criminals, not with myself. As if shedding an invisible shackle, I feel much lighter. Just at that moment, a police car stopped in front of me, and the police officers got out of the car. "Hello, student, is it you who called the police?" I nodded vigorously. "It's me. They are in this alley. The criminals are 3 men, and they might be armed. Please be very careful." The police officers hurriedly rushed into the alley. After a few gunshots, Guhan and Bai Kaiwei were escorted out. Both of them looked disheveled. Bai Kaiwei was wrapped in a police officer's jacket, her face filled with terror. I sneered coldly in my heart, feeling even more disgusted by the two of them. The 3 men had been in the alley for less than half a minute. They didn't even have time to do anything to Bai Kaiwei, so the two of them looking so disheveled clearly meant they had been up to something inappropriate inside. Taking advantage of their inattention, I turned to sneak away. "Hey, student," the police officer quickly called out to me. "Wait a moment. Come back with us to make a statement, and we'll take you home later." I turned awkwardly, and sure enough, I saw the complex expressions of surprise and shame on Guhan and Bai Kaiwei's faces. Fortunately, I had found an excuse in advance. I've been seeing those 3 men loitering around the alley lately, and then I heard Guhan and the other 2 were going to the alley at night to play. I was worried something might happen, so I called the police. "You did very well, little classmate." The police officer nodded approvingly. "What's your name? And which class are you in?" I told him the truth. "Let me take you home first. It's almost 11 o'clock. The police did not mention the 3 men who had already died, nor did they say what had happened in the alley, but in fact, I already knew about it in my previous life. The 3 were brothers from a village in a neighboring city. Due to a dispute with their neighbors, they murdered the entire family of 5 and fled to this place. Without money, they had to look for opportunities everywhere. When they saw the beautiful Bai Kaiwei in the alley, they harbored malicious intentions and kidnapped her, selling her for a high price. This was the information obtained from them when the police finally caught them after 3 years of effort. However, they had no idea who she was sold to or where Bai Kaiwei went, just saying that the buyer wore a black mask, and the transaction took place in the woods, with no information at all. Until I died, Bai Kaiwei was never found. Fortunately, I was reborn, no longer bearing the guilt of harming Bai Kaiwei, and she wouldn't be taken away by bad people anymore. When I got home, I looked up and saw my parents sitting on the sofa watching a TV drama. In my memory, they haven't been this relaxed in a long time. Although the police repeatedly stated that the matter had nothing to do with me, people always prefer to believe unfounded but dramatic rumors. Because of me, even the neighbors I've known since childhood pointed fingers at our family. During that time, my parents not only had to deal with these people but also constantly monitor my precarious mental state. When I finally managed to make my way over, they had aged by a dozen or so years in an instant, their hair completely white, and their appearance haggard. Even now, I dare not think about how devastated they must have been upon learning of my death in my previous life. "Good child, you're back." My mother spotted me and waved me over. "Why are you so late today? Did you stay at school to do your homework?" I looked at their faces, and a wave of bitterness surged within me. Tears welled up in my eyes, impossible to hold back. My parents immediately rushed over, their expression serious. "What's wrong, my dear? Who bullied you?" I shook my head while crying. "I just missed you all." My parents didn't believe me at all. "Go to sleep first, dear. Tomorrow we'll accompany you to school. Don't be afraid, we're here with you." The couple immediately took out their phones to request leave for tomorrow, insisting on going to the school to see for themselves. No matter how much I explained, I sighed, resigned to the idea that they would go anyway. Yet, the corners of my mouth kept curving upwards. The next day, my parents followed me to the classroom. I didn't encounter anyone bullying me, but I ran into the police officer who came to find me. "You've raised a fine daughter." The police officer personally came to present me with a banner for bravery. The incident involving the 3 brothers has caused quite a stir in the neighboring city, and the local police have been searching for them for months. If it weren't for me, These criminals wouldn't have been caught so quickly, and Guhan and Baikaiwei would have been in danger. The authorities are very concerned about this matter, and a TV station even came to take photos. However, since I am a high school senior, to avoid affecting my studies, the reporters only asked a few simple questions and wished me good luck in the college entrance exam before leaving. My parents, after hearing about it, were extremely frightened. Those three are all murderers. What guts do you have to confront them? If something happens to you, how will your parents live? I hugged my mother but did not speak. They don't know that from the moment Baikaiwei approached me, I was already entangled in this matter. If I don't report it myself, I will still face the same experiences as in my previous life after something happens to them. Only by personally confirming that the criminals are brought to justice and that Guhan and Baikaiwei are safely out of danger can I completely relax. After finally persuading my parents to go back, I returned to my seat, and the whole class was looking at me differently. Gunlele tugged at my sleeve. Ching Ching, you're amazing. The surrounding classmates also gathered around. My goodness. The murderer that the neighboring city had been chasing for months was found by you. It sounds just like a superhero. I just heard the police officer say that you also saved 2 people in the alley. Who are they? Gunlele widened her eyes in surprise and glanced at the stiff figure diagonally across from her. Ching Ching, the people you saved, weren't they them? I smiled slightly and raised my index finger to my lips. Shoo, I know. Gunlele has always been unable to keep her mouth shut. By the end of the morning, everyone in the school knew that the people rescued in the alley were Guhan and Baikaiwei. This alley didn't seem special to ordinary students, they just thought it was a very secluded place. However, some students were well aware that this was a secret spot where many young couples first experienced intimacy. Isn't Guhan in a relationship with Song Jiqing? Why would he go somewhere with Baikaiwei? They were having an affair behind Song Jiqing's back and almost got killed by a murderer, only to be saved by Song Jiqing in the end. Even a TV drama couldn't write such a melodramatic plot. The mistress and the scumbag, I used to call them the school flower and the school grass. This time, the ones facing the whole school's criticism became Guhan and Baikaiwei. At noon after school, I was about to head to the cafeteria for lunch when Guhan walked over. Ching Ching, I turned around, my expression cold. Is there something you need, classmate Guhan? His eyes suddenly narrowed. Ching Ching, you really misunderstood my relationship with Baikaiwei. All the classmates in the class stopped and eavesdropped on our conversation, peeking around. Guhan pursed his lips. She and I are just friends. She asked me to go to the alley. I didn't think much of it. I've always liked only you. I curl my lips into a mocking smile. Last night, when Guhan was escorted out of the alley by the police, his zipper hadn't even been zipped up. Is this what he calls a misunderstanding or friends? In my previous life, he could even abandon my treatment during a difficult childbirth for Baikaiwei, watching me die with his own eyes. If he says he doesn't like Baikaiwei, I don't believe it. However, now he decisively abandoned Baikaiwei amidst the rumors and slanders, placing all the blame on her. Ching Ching, will you forgive me? I promise I won't have anything to do with Baikaiwei anymore. Didn't we agree to go to Tsinghua University together? Guhan looked at me pleadingly, his tone carrying a hint of supplication. I couldn't quite understand why this was happening. Doesn't he love her? Why is Guhan in such a hurry to confirm his relationship with me in front of everyone, to prove his innocence and that Baikaiwei is the guilty one? He is so eager to escape from these rumors. But I simply don't want to let him have his way. Guhan, I said, looking at him. Let's break up. In this life, I finally have no mistakes. My deeds made it to television, earning me a bit of fame across the country. The entire school praised me as a great hero, treating me exceptionally well. The neighbors nearby often send over fruits and snacks, encouraging their children to learn from me. This hero, completely opposite to my previous life. There is no abuse or bullying from classmates. Everyone treats me with kindness. It's so beautiful it feels like a dream. Instead, Baikaiwei is now constantly accused by her classmates of being a homewrecker, but they only whispered about her behind her back, not daring to actually bully her. After all, it was just a moral issue, much lighter than the crime I was accused of in my previous life. I don't feel guilty about Baikaiwei's situation. She did indeed interfere in my relationship with Guhan. It could even be said that it wasn't that she had to go into the alley, she wouldn't have encountered danger on her own. I wouldn't have been blamed either, yet she seems to think that everything was caused by me. While I was still reviewing my lessons, Baikaiwei suddenly rushed into the classroom to find me. Song Jiqing, is it you who's been telling everyone I'm the other woman? Baikaiwei no longer looked as beautiful and refined as she used to. She was disheveled and shouted at me furiously. I put down my pen and calmly looked at her. I'm not that bored. Her eyes were bloodshot. even carrying a hint of hatred towards me. Who else could it be? Song Jiqing, you're just getting back at me for taking Guhan away. I shook my head with a smile. You forgot, when you came to the classroom to find me, you made me give Guhan the love letter in front of everyone, and it was you who shouted loudly here, asking me to pass a message to invite Guhan to the alley. What do you mean? Bai Kaiwei suddenly widened her eyes. Are you saying I brought this on myself? Isn't that right? I looked at her with pity. Bai Kaiwei, you chose to be the other woman. You brought this situation upon yourself. You can't blame anyone else. The ones who should be most condemned and criticized are the 3 inhuman murderers. The alleyway was where Bai Kaiwei was heading, and the wrongdoers were those few bad people. But in my previous life, I actually faced more criticism. In reality and online, people exaggerated. Even went so far as to spread rumors, portraying me as a villain to justify their moral judgment against me. I lived so painfully, so humbly, and I couldn't even explain. It was because she had interfered in my relationship with my boyfriend that I didn't let him go to the appointment. After all, Bai Kaiwei was the victim, and she had suffered enough, and today, Bai Kaiwei has been rescued by me, and she is no longer a victim. The label of the other woman she now bears is something she brought upon herself. Facing her, I finally have the confidence to say that sentence. None of this is my fault. It wasn't me who made her the other woman. In my previous life, it wasn't me who sent her to the alley. However, Bai Kaiwei doesn't think it's her own problem at all. She only knew that she had been scolded, and she desperately needed an outlet for her emotions. I was the most suitable candidate. Her face twisted, and she walked towards me. A hand stopped her. Guhan didn't know when he had moved from the seat diagonally across to here. His face was ashen, and his gaze at Bai Kaiwei was extremely cold. Enough, Guhan. Bai Kaiwei glared at him. Even you are taking her side, aren't you? Guhan gritted his teeth. Can you stop making a scene? Don't you think you've embarrassed yourself enough? He pulled Bai Kaiwei out. After the midterm exams, Gun Lele told me that Guhan and Bai Kaiwei had completely fallen out. They shouted insults at each other downstairs in the teaching building. Guhan called Bai Kaiwei shameless, a homewrecker, and accused her of seducing him. Bai Kaiwei also called Guhan a scumbag, someone who dares to do but not to admit. When the exam results were released, the seat diagonally across from me was already empty. Guhan and Bai Kaiwei had transferred to another school. The boy I had loved for over a decade had distanced himself from me earlier in this life. It's not true that I'm not sad, but more than that, it's a sense of relief. Before they moved away, Guhan's mom brought him to apologize to me. I stepped forward and gave Auntie a hug. Auntie, this has nothing to do with you. As for Guhan, I will never forgive him. Guhan had been keeping his head down, but when he heard my words, he suddenly looked up, his eyes red and swollen. I smiled. Who are you trying to impress with this act of deep affection? Guhan, you're the one who agreed to my pursuit, but isn't it also you who cheated? Guhan stared at me intently. Ching, I'm sorry. I personally opened the door for him. Hurry up and leave, and never see each other again. In my previous life, wherever I went, rumors and gossip followed. My parents were getting older, and I was afraid they would continue to be affected by me. So I moved out of my parents' home and lived with Guhan during university. After graduation, I had completely lost the courage to step out of the house, and I could only stay at Guhan's place every day. At that time, I couldn't live without Guhan at all. However, now I realize that even without Guhan, my life wouldn't change at all. I cherish this peaceful life very much. In my previous life, I had excellent high school grades, if it weren't for the impact of that incident, which caused a significant mental breakdown. I had a good chance of getting into Tsinghua or Peking University. Unfortunately, I barely managed to get into a public second-tier university in the end. Now, given another chance, I hope I can fulfill the dream I left unaccomplished. I immerse myself in studying every day. After all, it has been a long time since I left high school, and relearning this knowledge took me quite some effort. These few exam results haven't been very satisfactory, but luckily, my brain is still quite smart, and I don't learn slowly. Only after the college entrance exam did I find out that Guhan and Bai Kaiwei had transferred to the same high school and were officially together. When sharing this news, Gun Lele carefully watched my expression, as if worried that I would be upset. I just smiled nonchalantly. They make a good couple. Ching, aren't you angry? Bai Kaiwei was the one who intervened back then. Why should they be able to be together so peacefully now? I never knew Gun Lele could be so indignant. I just want to live my own life well. I don't want to know who they are with or how they are doing. From now on, my life is just mine. For the two people who carried the pain of my past life, I don't even want to hear their names. When I heard Guhan's name again, it was already 5 years later. I graduated smoothly from Tsinghua University and went abroad to study for 2 years. Just back from abroad, my friends booked a private room to throw a welcome party for me. These are all friends I made during my university years, except for the class monitor who also got into Tsinghua or Peking University with me. I have almost no contact with my high school classmates anymore, although I clearly understand the differences between my two lives. I cannot forgive the bullying and harassment I endured from my classmates in my previous life. I wouldn't choose to seek revenge on them. But I also can't pretend those things never happened. I've been invited to several high school reunions, but each time I've used being busy as an excuse to avoid them. Gradually, they stopped inviting me. At this welcoming event, the class monitor was also present. He sat in the most peripheral position, excluded from the crowd. The social circles after university are actually the most hierarchical. If you have ability, skills, and status, then you can be at the center of the circle. The monitor wanted to move towards the center of the crowd. If he couldn't do it on his own, he would have to find a way to attach himself to others. After chatting with me for a while, my friends dispersed a bit. At that moment, the monitor squeezed in, wearing an ingratiating expression. Song Jiqing, I never expected that after a few years, you've become so impressive. Before I could speak, he continued on his own. Jiqing, do you remember Gu Han and Bai Kaiwei? Your ex-boyfriend and the mistress, they're living a miserable life now. I interrupted him. I don't want to hear about this, but my friends, clearly mischievous troublemakers, seized the opportunity as soon as they heard it was about my ex-boyfriend, urging the class monitor to continue. I couldn't help but learn about Gu Han's current situation. Originally in this life, after college, Bai Kaiwei's family went bankrupt. Gu Han and Bai Kaiwei, like my previous self, only attended an ordinary second-tier university. Hearing this, I found it unbelievable. Gu Han's grades were always top-notch. He always ranked first in the entire school, and no matter how hard I tried as the second-place student, I could never surpass him. A few years ago, when he was about to transfer schools, the homeroom teacher and the grade director persuaded him several times, not wanting to let go of the potential city's top scorer. When I saw that the top scorer in the city's college entrance exam wasn't him, I thought he must have been slightly affected, but I never expected it to lead to him only being able to attend a regular second-tier university. After all, he was Gu Han. In his previous life, he became the top scorer in the province with 710 points, being hotly pursued by prestigious universities for admission. He attended the finance department of Tsinghua and Peking University, standing out even among such elite institutions, and even caught the attention of a prominent figure during his junior year due to his exceptional performance. The influential figure provided him with funding, and with like-minded partners, Gu Han started a business that earned millions in its second year. Even at my own university, I often heard students talking about the admiration for Gu Han. I looked up to him for my entire life, even if I could do it all over again. Even though I didn't see him at Tsinghua or Peking University, I still thought he was creating his own legend. But the class monitor told me that Gu Han went to a second-tier university, worked as a small-time clerk at a small company after graduation, and muddled through for years without any achievements. It's like someone saying that Mayan never started a company but instead taught for a lifetime. The disillusionment and shock left me rooted to the spot, unable to react for a long time. The monitor continued to speak eloquently. Gu Han and Bai Kaiwei have been on and off for years. Bai Kaiwei is completely supported by Gu Han. Her family went bankrupt and didn't care about her, nor did they give her money. As a pampered young lady, Bai Kaiwei is used to spending extravagantly. It's said that she often quarrels with Gu Han, and then, later, I heard from my high school classmate Gun Lele that Bai Kaiwei used Gu Han's savings for medical beauty treatments. When Gu Han found out, he broke up with her. The friends couldn't help but applaud. Serves him right. Luckily, our Jiqing broke up with that jerk. As they exited the private room and had only taken a few steps, they bumped into someone. Sorry. The low voice on the other side was very familiar. I looked up and sure enough, it was him, Gu Han. He wore the uniform of a waiter, but it did nothing to diminish his refined handsomeness. 5 years have passed, and apart from becoming more mature, he doesn't seem to have changed much. Seeing me, he was evidently stunned as well. Ching. Seeing me stop, my friends hurriedly urged me on. What's wrong, Jiqing? Didn't we say we were going to drink? The monitor quickly stopped everyone. It's okay, Jiqing. You guys talk. We'll go to the venue first and wait for you. Take your time, no rush. I sighed and turned to leave. Gu Han grabbed my wrist. Ching, can we talk? His eyes pleaded with me. Just a few minutes. It won't take too long. I agreed and followed him to the corner. What would you like to talk about? Gu Han looked down, gazing deeply at me. I work part-time at the shop, and you, how have you been all these years? Pretty good. Well, as long as you're doing well, that's good. Is there anything else? If not, I'll take my leave first. Ching. He suddenly stepped forward and hugged me. I've always loved you. Will you still accept me? I broke free from his embrace and slapped him directly across the face, harassing customers. Guhan, I will report you to your boss. I turned and left, never looking back. I always thought Guhan liked Baek Highway. I fell in love with him in my 3rd year of high school, married him after graduating from university, and we were together for a total of 7 years until I got pregnant. If I hadn't loved Baek Highway so deeply, I couldn't understand why he would have left me to die during a difficult childbirth. However, in this life, after breaking up with Guhan, he didn't show such deep love for Baek Highway. This once puzzled me greatly, but now I understand. From beginning to end, what he loved was not me or Baek Highway, but an unattainable obsession, a false illusion. So in his previous life, he couldn't see me beside him, deeply in love with the missing Baek Highway, to the point of wishing I would die. This life, however, he became obsessed with me after our breakup. Understanding this, I only feel disgusted, but Guhan clearly wasn't willing to give up on me. He somehow got hold of my newly changed WeChat ID and sent me a friend request. The first thing he said was, "Long time no see, I'll prove to you that I really love you." I immediately blocked and deleted him. A few days later, my mentor recommended me for a manager position at a company in City B. On my first day of arrival, while waiting for the elevator downstairs, I suddenly heard someone call out to me from behind, "Ching Ching, you actually work here too?" I frowned deeply and turned around to see Guhan standing behind me, looking pleasantly surprised. "You're here because..." I unceremoniously poured cold water on the idea. "Stop being so self-absorbed. If I knew you were here, I wouldn't have come. This company is one of the top firms in City B. My mentor highly appreciates my abilities and recommended me for this position. I cannot let down my mentor's trust over someone like Guhan, so I cannot resign." Guhan's pursuit of me only grew more extravagant. Despite being warned by his superiors, he paid no heed and even sent roses to my office every day. I was at my wit's end, so I added him back on WeChat. "Guhan, Ching Ching, you're finally willing to talk to me." "Me? Guhan, I already have a boyfriend." Guhan didn't believe I had a boyfriend, because within my circle, I have never mentioned the existence of my boyfriend to anyone. He felt this was an excuse for me to reject him, so he became even more persistent in trying to impress me with his perseverance. The more I refused, the more he became obsessed. I could sense that he wasn't pursuing a person with independent thoughts and emotions, but rather pursuing a past longing, pursuing what he couldn't have. He is challenging, he is taking risks. Like a level clearing game, and I am the final boss of the last level. These days, I rush home every day after work, afraid that I might run into Guhan if I'm late. His so-called pursuit has left me exhausted. As I stepped out of the company gates, a tall figure came into view. It was already autumn, and the man wore a trench coat, his figure slender yet upright, standing out in the crowd. My eyes lit up, and I threw myself into his arms. "Pei Young, why are you here?" Pei Young smiled gently and embraced me in his arms. "Auntie told me that your first love wants to take you away from me, so I had to rush back to claim my territory." "My mom." I furrowed my brow. Guhan went as far as involving my mom in his pursuit of me. Pei Young sensed my emotions and patted my head. "All right, don't think about those irrelevant people anymore. Let's go home. Your parents are already waiting for us there." He took my hand and was about to head towards the parking lot. Ching Ching. Guhan stood behind us, holding a large bouquet of roses. His expression hurt. He demanded loudly, "Who is he?" I showed him our hands intertwined. "Let me formally introduce you. This is my boyfriend, Pei Young." Guhan gritted his teeth and shook his head self-deceptively. "I don't believe it. You hired actors to trick me, didn't you?" Before I could say anything more, Pei Young suddenly wrapped his arm around my waist and kissed me on the lips. "Stay away from my girlfriend." Pei Young took me home. My parents have already prepared the meal and are waiting. Seeing Pei Young, they both smiled so much that their eyes almost became slits. "Pei Young, sit down quickly. Thank you for taking care of Ching Ching while she was abroad. When are you two planning to get married? Have you decided on a date?" Pei Young turned to me helplessly, and I chuckled, shrugging my shoulders in resignation. My parents are very satisfied with Pei Young. 2 years ago, I chose to study abroad alone, which my family did not support. I insisted on going, and as soon as I arrived abroad, I got lost. Foreign navigation is not user-friendly, so I have to rely on maps. However, my sense of direction is extremely poor, and following the map only led me further astray. It was at this moment that Pei Young appeared. If it weren't for him, my journey abroad for studies might not have been so smooth. Soon, Pei Young and I became lovers. In a foreign land, we supported each other for 2 years. I only told my parents about Pei Young's existence, and hadn't yet formally informed my friends. The second year, when I was choosing a wedding dress with Pei Young before our marriage, I met Guhan at the door. At this point, he had already resigned from that major company. Looking even more down and out, he chased after me, asking, "Are you getting married?" I showed him the ring on my hand. "Yes, I won't be sending you an invitation." His eyes were dull. Ching, call me by my name, I said. Looking at Guhan, our relationship isn't close enough for this. He gave a self-deprecating smile. Ching, Songji-ching, I wish you a happy marriage. Thank you. I said this perfunctorily and turned to leave. He suddenly said, I had a dream recently. In the dream, I married you. I paused, giving him a cold stare. What do you want to say? Guhan turned his face away. What I want to say is, in my dream, I actually loved you very much. It's just a dream. I wore a blank expression. Ignoring Guhan behind me as I pushed open the door of the bridal shop, inside, Pei-yun opened his arms to me. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After 3 years of chasing the school hunk, I decided to focus on studying as the college entrance exam approached. Just as I picked up a book, a barrage of comments floated before my eyes. Has my dear forgotten? Jianghua doesn't like goody two-shoes, especially those who are bookworms. Put the book down now. Today is Jianghua's birthday. Hurry up and book a room at the Full Season Hotel to prepare a surprise for him. He will definitely spoil you to death. Not only did I ignore it, but I also went to ask the class genius about a mistake in my homework, because in my previous life, I believed the nonsense in the comments and kept leaving my studies to fawn over Jianghua. As a result, I got pregnant, and he publicly humiliated me. Everyone in the whole school knows how wild you are, Xiaoxiu. Who knows whose bastard is in your belly? Others were answering questions in the exam hall, while I was giving birth to a child, resulting in both the mother and child dying. Only after death did I learn that those bullet comments were fabricated by Jianghua to deceive me. All to help the fake heiress Song Chuchu ruin my life, before me. The bullet comments were still flashing wildly. Jianghua stood behind me, his eyes dark and fixed intently on me. I remained calm and composed, having toyed with me for so many years. It's time to settle this debt. Sister, be careful. Suddenly, Song Chuchu appears, snatching my exam paper and pulling me away from the top student. Peng Yin, how could you get so close to him? He's not a good person. Don't you remember what he did to me last time? This was the case in my previous life as well. Whenever Peng Yin showed kindness to me, she would subtly belittle and slander him. Over time, I was influenced by her words, and my dislike for Peng Yin grew stronger. I raised an eyebrow and looked her up and down. Song Chuchu deliberately leaned on the table with both hands, arching her hips and pressing Peng Yin tightly against the wall. Not only would a normal person inevitably brush against her, but even a mosquito would find it hard to fly past without touching her. Yet she always claimed that others were touching her inappropriately and had ill intentions. Why don't you stand up straight? Stop pointing your hips at others. Song Chuchu looked embarrassed and quickly straightened up, hugging my arm. Oh, this isn't the main point. Just stay away from him. Or what if Jianghua gets jealous? I was quite curious. What would he be jealous of? He doesn't even like me. The bullet comments immediately started flying again. Silly baby girl, men are never good at expressing their feelings, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have you in his heart. Just keep licking without any hesitation, and one day he will surely be moved by you. Put the book down now and hurry to help Jianghua order lunch. He just twisted his ankle and isn't convenient to move around. Take good care of our male lead, Mei Bao, Song Chuchu chided. Who else could he like if not you, sister? You don't understand men at all. Don't waste time. Go take care of Jianghua. I will always support you. Before she could finish speaking, I snatched the exam paper and returned to Peng Yin's side. Without looking back, he said, let whoever cares go ahead and care. Don't disturb me while I'm studying, sis. You're not falling for Pei, are you? Song Chuchu bit her lower lip tightly, looking like she was full of mischief. Then suddenly, he fell backwards. With a loud thud, she sobbed in a trembling voice, Sister, even if I said something wrong out of turn, you didn't have to push me. Many students immediately gave me disdainful looks. Xiaoxiu, you're too malicious. How could you bear to do that to such a kind-hearted person like Chuchu? You took away Chuchu's parents. And now you want to bully others like this. Just like in the past, she habitually feigned grievance as a form of self-pity, trying to rally others to help her bully me. I come from a small county, and when I first arrived, my Mandarin had a strong accent. I stumbled through an explanation, only to be ridiculed, and over time, I became reluctant to speak up. At that moment, the homeroom teacher, Lu Yu, walked in. Glancing at the others, her disdainful gaze fell upon me. Oh. Pretending to be studious just before the college entrance exam, a bit too late, isn't it? I think you'd better not waste your time with your brain. Even if you study seriously, you won't pass. Cramming at the last minute is even more useless. Don't ruin our school heartthrob and then come to ruin our top student. Pei is a top candidate for Tsinghua and Peking University. Do you think you're worthy? The other students burst into laughter. In my previous life, she was like this too. I don't know what I did to offend her, but from the first day I transferred to this school, she treated me like a thorn in her eye, constantly mocking and belittling me, trying to crush my confidence. In this past year of rebirth, she has become even more extreme than in her previous life, but fortunately, my will is strong enough. I had already privately asked Painyan to tutor me, and every evening we practiced problems together on the software. By the third monthly exam, my grades had already jumped into the top 10 in the entire grade. I stubbornly stared at her, and before I could speak, a male voice rang out beside me. Teacher Liu. Painyan's voice was cool and clear. Every student has the equal right to take the college entrance exam. You may not be optimistic about her, but you should not publicly belittle someone else's dreams. I don't think there's anything wrong with Xia wanting to go to university. The entire room fell silent. I couldn't help but look at Painyan, his profile firm, and my heart stirred slightly. The barrage of comments started flying again. Sis, don't let that scumbag fool you. That guy surnamed Pei is a beast in human clothing. You chose him in your previous life, got pregnant, and ended up dead along with your unborn child, and you even caused your parents' deaths. Think carefully, sis, only Jianhui is your true soulmate. My heart tightened. Jianhui was clearly talking about what he did to me in my previous life. No wonder he could come up with such a barrage of comments. As I glanced sideways, I inadvertently noticed Song Chu signaling to Teacher Liu. Their eyes met, and Song Chu let out a perfectly timed pained moan. Mr. Liu immediately found a way out and instructed 2 students to call 120 and take Song Chu to the hospital. Then, with full confidence, he shouted at me, Xia Xiu. Let's put the college entrance exam aside for now. What right do you have to bully your classmates? Come to my office right now. I want to see what you're capable of. The tacit cooperation between them made me suspicious. Could it be that Liu Yu's persistent targeting of me since my previous life was all designed by Song Chu? When he arrived at the office, Teacher Liu dramatically slammed the book heavily onto the desk. It's one thing to engage in promiscuous relationships, but every day you flaunt yourself, ruin the school hunk, and then go after the top students from Tsinghua and Peking University. Now you're even resorting to violence against your classmates. Xia Xiu, what exactly are you trying to do? I will not tolerate you disturbing our learning environment. Now, immediately, apologize to Song Chu, write a 10,000-word self-criticism, and sign a statement voluntarily giving up the college entrance examination. This time, I won't pursue the matter further. With that, he threw the statement in my face. I couldn't help but frown and immediately refute. Why, what evidence do you have that I hit someone? Did you see it with your own eyes? Teacher Liu, you must know that slander is illegal, right? Moreover, taking the college entrance exam is a citizen's right. Why should you demand that I voluntarily give it up? Liu was furious. How dare you talk back? You're utterly shameless. I'm calling your parents right now so they can see how out of control you are at school. 20 minutes later, the wealthy parents, Song Heshan and Lu Jinjia, have arrived. Seeing me, both of them showed displeasure in their eyes. When they recognized me and took me back, I was the top scorer in the city's high school entrance exam. However, once I entered high school, I seemed to be possessed. Abandoning my studies to become a sycophant for the school heartthrob, parents tried to dissuade me. But not only did I not listen, I also argued and resisted them, feeling that they were biased towards Song Chu. Over time, my parents lost patience with me, growing more and more annoyed with each passing day. This time was no different. Before the homeroom teacher could even speak, my parents demanded that I apologize. Why aren't you apologizing right away? How much trouble have you caused the homeroom teacher? Isn't that enough? The barrage started flying again. Why apologize? You're not wrong at all. Your parents don't love you. They only brought you back on the surface, but in reality, they treat you as nothing more than spare parts for the fake heiress. When the fake heiress has a heart attack, they will ruthlessly take your heart. In this world, only Jianhui can protect you. 10 years. No. 5 years. When Jianhui becomes the world's richest man, he will bring you back to slap these bastards in the face. I was so angry that I wanted to laugh. Jianhui really knows how to fabricate stories, even claiming to be the world's richest man. In my previous life, I deliberately defied my parents and fought the whole world, all under the instigation of such repeated provocations. But after my death, my parents, who always reprimanded me, would often look at my childhood photos and weep. I looked at my parents, speaking seriously and firmly. Dad, Mom, I may have done some foolish things before, but not this time. I was just asking Pei classmate for help with a wrong question, and Teacher Liu slandered me for flirting, accused me of deliberately beating up a classmate, and even made me sign a statement to voluntarily give up the college entrance exam. Lu Jinzhou was a bit surprised, as I had never spoken to them so politely before, although half believing. She still chose to defend me first. Teacher, isn't this a bit inappropriate for your treatment of my daughter? Seeing this, I breathed a sigh of relief. My eyes started to sting, realizing that as soon as I took the initiative to speak, their attitude towards me changed drastically. Liu quickly explained, don't take her word for it. Do you know who she assaulted? It's your daughter, Song Chuchu. Now Song Chuchu has been sent to the hospital. And the situation doesn't look good. The parents looked shocked. What? In the hospital? That's right, Song Chuchu was seriously injured. I was so angry that I demanded she give up the college entrance exam to avoid affecting the performance of other students who can actually get into university. Song Heshan immediately called the hospital. Liu stopped them, saying it would be better to discipline me first before going. My parents were puzzled, and their eyes when they looked at me were filled with doubt. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I didn't even touch her. If you don't believe me, you can check the surveillance. Xiaxiu, stop lying. Is it fun? I didn't want to say anything, but I've seen you and Jianhui hugging and holding each other several times. You've put on a lot of weight recently, haven't you? I think for you, ensuring a safe pregnancy is more important than the college entrance exam. Lu Yu's disdainful gaze and confident tone echoed through the office. If you want to marry Jianhui, then talk it over properly with your parents. They're so open-minded, they might not necessarily object, but that will have to wait until after the college entrance exam. As she spoke, she suddenly raised her hand, and two men carrying computers walked in. I couldn't help but feel a sinking sensation in my heart. Liu opened her computer and glanced at me sideways. You wanted to see the surveillance, didn't you? Here, take a look, in the video. Song Chuchu brought me milk tea, but not only did I throw it away, I also kicked her flying with one foot, arrogantly cursing her to get lost. You bitch. Then, deliberately pulling down the collar of the school uniform to reveal a glimpse of skin, I leaned close to Pei Yinyan's arm with a dazed look, murmuring something. That person in the video is indeed me, but I never did any of those things. I broke out in a cold sweat. Impossible. This is a fake video. I would never admit to something I never did. Lu Jinjia looked disappointed. I thought you had finally woken up this time, but I didn't expect you to remain unchanged. I quickly explained, Mom, this is a fake video. It's been edited. Jianhui suddenly entered. Without a word, he hugged me tightly. To be honest, we did indeed taste the forbidden fruit, Uncle and Aunt. I am willing to take responsibility for Xiaxiu. I couldn't help but struggle. But Jianhui's strength was overwhelming. Didn't you say you hated the Song family, that it was suffocating there, and you wished they would all die? You also said that only the plain porridge I made for you made you feel the warmth of a home. Song Heshan and Lu Jinjiao were filled with shock and heartache. Xiu, can you stop making a scene? Please, isn't it just because I was thirsty and accidentally drank Song Chuchu's water? Do you really have to push Song Chuchu, get her into the ICU? And then go seduce Pei Yinyan to make me jealous? I was so furious that I bit him hard. He winced in pain and let go, his eyes dark with anger, as if he wanted to hit me. Get away, don't touch me, I shouted hoarsely. I'm telling you again, we can check the surveillance. I'm not lying, I didn't push Song Chuchu, and I certainly didn't have any relationship with Jianhui. Even if I were to like someone, it wouldn't be someone like this good for nothing. Jianhui was stunned. The barrage continued to roll in. It's over, Mei Bao. This time, it won't be easy to win back your true love unless you go all out for 3 days and 3 nights. It's not too late to change your story now. Tell them you were lying earlier, that you only love Jianhui, and you give up the college entrance exam and cut ties with the Song family for Jianhui, or else you'll regret it. I couldn't hold back any longer and slapped Jianhui. Shut your mouth. The entire office fell into complete silence. Liu showed a triumphant expression. Mr. Song, you see, this is how she usually behaves. As a homeroom teacher, I can't not be responsible for the other students in the school. I really have no other choice but to hope that she will voluntarily give up the college entrance exam. I'm not capable of disciplining her, so please take her back and find another teacher for her. Song Heshan and Lu Jinjiao looked utterly embarrassed. They gazed at me with disappointment. We've taken you back for 3 years, and we've never wronged you, yet you keep tarnishing the reputation of the Song family. What exactly do you want? Is it just for this man? If that's the case, then I'll give you some money. You can sever all ties with the Song family and do whatever you want. Jianhui was overjoyed. Thank you, Uncle and Auntie, for your blessing. Then he pressed my hand. Xiu, hurry up and sign. Once you sign, you'll never have to complain about studying hard again. We'll get married, have children, and no one will disturb us. The bullet screen was once again filled with a flood of envious comments. The domineering campus prince is forcing his love. I'm so envious. Stop pretending, little sister. You must be secretly thrilled. This is the campus prince we've been fawning over for 3 years, and now he's finally yours. In a few years, little sister will become the wife of the richest man. I'm crying. I can't even imagine how luxurious the wedding will be. I struggled with all my might, but I couldn't overpower Jiang Huai's strength. I cried and begged my mother to save me. Lu Jian turned her face away, leaving me only with a disappointed profile. Lu Yu's face was filled with anticipation. My heart felt as if it had sunk into the mountains, utterly isolated and helpless. Was I doomed to be destroyed again, even if I had a second chance? Where exactly did the problem lie? I had been so careful, so how did the surveillance come into play? Yes, it must be the surveillance's fault. I clung to the situation like a drowning man grasping at a lifeline, shouting repeatedly, the surveillance is faulty. I need to call the police. At that moment, the door was kicked open from the outside. Pei Yin entered, gasping for breath. He punched Jiang Huai to the ground. Xia Xiyu didn't lie. Uncle Song, Auntie Song, the surveillance video that Teacher Liu showed you just now is fake. He grabbed the laptop from the table and opened the surveillance footage to show my parents. Look, the edge sharpening is overdone, and the time is completely wrong. It's obvious that it was made long ago. The real video is here, in fact, a year ago. Xia Xiyu reformed and started studying seriously. Over the past year, we've been practicing problems every night until midnight. Look, Pei Yin opened the problem-solving app on his phone, pointing to the avatar of the problem king in Area A. Song Heshan was half convinced, while Lu Jinjia carefully clicked on the avatar to enlarge it, her eyes instantly turning red. This is Xiyu's favorite teddy bear, a bebe. From when she was little, the others looked at each other. And some curious teachers came over, exclaiming in surprise, the problem king of Area A is in our school. Is that true or not? I heard that this year's math college entrance exam was particularly difficult, and many teachers said the problem king is highly likely to be the top scorer. If Xia Xiyu is really the problem king, then we've really hit the jackpot. When she heard this, Lu Jinjia's eyes showed some excitement, although Song Heshan hesitated. He couldn't help but feel more hopeful. Xiyu, tell your dad, is this true? Before I could speak, Pei Yin declared firmly, absolutely true. I guarantee it in the name of the Pei family. Xia Xiyu didn't hit anyone, and she certainly didn't do anything students shouldn't do. Everyone couldn't help but gasp in surprise. The Pei family is a scholarly dynasty, and Pei Yin himself is a highly anticipated prospect for Tsinghua and Peking University. So the weight of this endorsement is self-evident. Liu was grinding her teeth in frustration. Just as she was about to speak, she met Pei Yin's resolute gaze. Teacher Liu, I've already called the police. I hope you can confess and receive leniency. Liu's face turned pale, her legs went weak, and she nearly collapsed into the chair. She barely managed to steady herself against the back of the chair, putting on a brave front. You call the police. What can they do? I'm also a victim. It's just a misunderstanding. There was a knock at the door. The police arrived. The two men who had just given Liu the video tried to run, but were stopped by the police. They immediately knelt down. It's not my business. I was just asked to modify the video. I know nothing else. The real mastermind is. Before she could finish, Song Chu-Chu, who should have been in the ICU, arrived, tears streaming down her face. She looked extremely wronged. Dad, Mom, it's all my fault. But I also tried to persuade my sister before. She said she didn't want to take the college entrance exam and only wanted to be with Jiang Huai. She threatened to kill herself, forcing me to pretend to be injured. I had no choice but to follow her demands and put on a show. You might not know, but she truly loves Jiang Huai to death. I couldn't persuade her at all. It's all my fault, so if you want to arrest someone, arrest me. Song Chu-Chu knew that her parents wouldn't really send her to jail. Liu finally calmed down and then changed the subject. Song Chu-Chu is right. Since the misunderstanding has been cleared up, let's let this one go. But, Xia Xiyu, there's no need to fabricate lies about being the problem king. It's not funny and only makes people laugh at you. Is this my fault again? Pei Yin let out a cold laugh. Whether or not she's the problem king doesn't need to be debated. We'll see the truth on the day of the college entrance exam, or perhaps, Teacher Liu is afraid that Xia Xiyu will take the exam and expose the truth about your poor teaching skills. Liu's expression was panicked and helpless, and it took her a long time to speak with difficulty. How could I possibly be afraid? If that's the case, then just wait for the college entrance exam. It's not too late for you to pass judgment then. Liu was left speechless and could only agree. But I didn't let go of Liu, directly grabbing her hand and revealing the jade bracelet. The dazzling gem sparkled with a unique brilliance that belonged to its fiery hue. Lu Jinjia's eyes immediately lit up. This looks so familiar. Teacher Liu, where did you get this jade bracelet? All eyes turned to Liu. Liu stammered. It's from a friend of mine. Don't touch my things. I snatched it away in one go. No way. This set of jewelry isn't sold separately. It's the only one in the country. What kind of friend gave this to you? Hearing this, Lu Jinjia finally realized something was wrong and quickly took it to examine it closely. This is mine. It even has my custom initials on it. Mr. Lu, where did you get this from? Faced with the questioning, Liu couldn't hold back anymore and confessed that it was a gift from Song Chuchu to win her over. The truth is out. Song Chuchu was so frightened that she trembled all over and quickly explained that she had no idea about the value of the bracelet, but no matter how she explained, facts speak louder than words. Song Heshan and Lu Jinzhou were not fools to begin with, and they quickly figured out the sequence of events. Song Chuchu also realized this and simply knelt on the ground, pretending to be pitiful and sobbing. I didn't mean any harm. I was just so afraid of losing your love for me that I unconsciously wanted to compare myself to my sister. I was just a little jealous of my sister, but isn't she fine now? Of course, she's fine now because I've been reborn and haven't been shamelessly fawning over Jiang Hui anymore, but in my previous life, I did indeed turn from a top student into a girl trying hard to act like a bad girl. All under the influence of the bullet screen comments and Song Chuchu's persuasion. Foolishly, I smoked, drank, and even got tattoos just to please Jiang Hui. In the end, under their persuasion, I gave my body to cure Jiang Hui. When my parents discovered I was pregnant, they advised me to have an abortion, focus on my studies, hire a tutor, and start over. But under the influence of the live chat, I claimed that I loved Jiang Hui more than anything, even though he came from a single-parent family, had no money or power, and no future. I would rather drink porridge in his rented room than suffocate in the Song family home. I suppressed my tears and clenched my fists tightly. Song Heshan and Lu Jinjia said no more, clearly not believing her lies, but also unwilling to pursue the matter. After all, they had raised Song Chuchu for many years, and the college entrance exam was imminent. Song Chuchu gritted her teeth, glaring at me with resentment and venom in her eyes. I exchanged a knowing smile with Pei Yin. There was affection in my eyes, and gratitude as well. At first, I only saw him as a lifeline, but as time went on and I got to know him better, I discovered the brilliance within his soul. Right now, the bullet comments were starting to stir again. Sister Bao, don't be fooled by a scumbag who is all charm on the surface but vicious inside. If you fall into his hands, not only will you be stripped of everything, but your parents will be too. No way, no way. Just because Pei Yin is a top student, does that make him a good person? Haven't you heard that the most heartless are often scholars? I think this bitch is just after Pei's family wealth, a gold digger who despises the poor. Just wait to be ruined by a scumbag. Jiang Hui must have lost his cool, not even bothering to pretend anymore. He started threatening and intimidating me right away, using manipulative tactics. With my family's situation, if I don't give him anything, does that make me a gold digger? I didn't give him another glance. With the college entrance exam approaching, studying was my priority. Although the Song family didn't pursue Song Chuchu's responsibility, Liu, as a teacher, not only accepted bribes but also conspired with others to deliberately bully students. There's no way this can be brushed under the carpet. Song Heshan and Lu Jinjia are suing Liu. Liu collapses to the ground, begging for mercy. Then repeatedly kowtows to me in apology. I was doing it for your own good. I just didn't expect. Enough said. Teacher Lu, I know what's on your mind. Save it for your fellow inmates to hear. After returning to the Song household, Song Chuchu feigned sincerity as she apologized to me. Not only did she give up the study with the best natural light for my use, but she also peeled oranges and cut apples for me as an apology. Her attitude was uncharacteristically good. Lu Jinzhou was very pleased to see this and felt reassured to go with Song Heshan to the business exchange conference. As soon as the two of them left, a barrage of comments immediately appeared in front of my eyes. It's clear that Meibao has really broken Jiang Hui's heart, but even so, Jiang Hui still wants to give Meibao a chance. Jiang Hui is downstairs right now. Meibao, you must seize this opportunity. The future richest woman in the country could be you. I was utterly annoyed. The barrage of comments lingers on. This indicates that Jiang Hui is in this villa. I knew Song Chuchu wouldn't let it go. She has been in this household for a long time, and the nannies and butlers are all old acquaintances, obviously more inclined to listen to her. Letting in a man is a piece of cake. Hearing the commotion outside the door, I climbed out the window without a second thought, went downstairs, and directly booked a hotel room at the closest location outside the school to the exam venue. I casually replied to Pei Yin, "Don't worry, everything is going smoothly. Good luck with the college entrance exam." Then I turned off my phone and reviewed contentedly until the day of the exam. As soon as I received the test paper, I knew I had it in the bag, successfully completing all the subject exams. I roughly estimated my score before returning to the Song family. Song Chuchu's expression was quite something. These past few days, she and Jianghua had been searching for me almost frantically. When I got home, Song Chuchu was so angry with me that she was gritting her teeth, yet she still had to put on a kind demeanor to ask about my well-being. I didn't expose her either. From the moment I stepped into the house, the barrage of comments didn't stop. They kept urging me to go apologize to Jianghua. Jianghua is regretting it like crazy, Meibao. Don't be stubborn. What will we even ship if you miss him? My heart hurts so much. Meibao, listen to us. Jianghua must still be in the villa. The Song family is wealthy and has countless properties, making it easy to hide someone. Oh, by the way, sister, tomorrow is Mom's birthday banquet. Have you decided on a gift? Why don't we go shopping and pick something out? Song Chuchu said with a smile, her eyes filled with calculation. I, however, agreed calmly and went with her. The birthday celebration for Mom was small and exquisite, held at our own villa, inviting some close family and friends. Professional photographers were also hired. In the morning while having breakfast, Song Chuchu specially made a milkshake for me herself. I shook the cup slightly when she turned her head. Just as she turned back, I immediately pretended to be flustered and looked around. Indeed, Song Chuchu's expression was complicated. Taking advantage of my moment of bending down to pick up the fork and knife, she quickly swapped the milkshake cups. I suppressed the smile at the corner of my lips, pretending not to notice. The birthday banquet began, and the guests slowly took their seats. However, Song Chuchu accidentally spilled red wine on me. It has to be said, her acting was really too deliberate. In her apology, I held my head with a dazed look. What's going on? My head suddenly feels so dizzy. Song Chuchu couldn't suppress the joy in her eyes and immediately rushed over to help me up. Her tone was full of concern. Did you not rest well? Let me take you to the bedroom to rest. Song Chuchu didn't take me to the bedroom. Instead, she led me towards the study. Chuchu, this doesn't seem to be my bedroom, does it? It's all for resting, so what are you picky about? Song Chuchu spoke in a cold, aloof tone. But as we reached the door, her vision became increasingly blurry. And she kept shaking her head in an attempt to regain clarity, even biting the tip of her tongue. Blood seeped from the corner of her mouth. Her body grew increasingly hot and limp, almost clinging to me just to stay standing. Sister, I don't want to go to the study. Take me back to my bedroom. I pretended to be confused. Didn't you say that anywhere is fine for resting? Why be picky? Without a word, he pushed her into the study. Half an hour later, her father brought in various bosses to the study, ready to discuss business. Little did they expect that upon opening the door, they would see a scene of two people entangled. Everyone was stunned, especially since this business deal also involved meeting minutes and media interviews. My father's face is completely lost. Song Chuchu was startled awake by the commotion, her face flushed, her expression dazed. After a long while, she finally snapped out of the weariness that followed her satisfaction, letting out a shrill scream. It wasn't me, it was Xiaoxiu. Father was furious. My eyes aren't blind. Don't push everything onto my daughter. Song Chuchu was incredulous. Dad, I'm your daughter too. Song Heshan's face was cold as he corrected her word by word. No, you are merely an adopted daughter taken in out of kindness by the Song family. Overnight, Song Chuchu's reputation was ruined, angry as they were. After all, she was their own daughter, raised with their own hands. Although Song Heshan and Lu Jianjiao were very disappointed, they gave her a sum of money and sent her abroad to study. I was well aware that this action meant my parents still couldn't bear to part with Song Chuchu, but Jianghua, having tasted the sweetness, became obsessed with Song Chuchu. You always knew I loved you, willing to seduce Xiaoxiu for your sake. Since you've already given yourself to me, what's wrong with us being together from now on? Song Chuchu was on the verge of collapse. How could you possibly be worthy of me? You're nothing more than a dog I sponsored, yet you dare to dream of being with me. Jianghua, driven by love and hatred, exposed Song Chuchu's private photos. On the day the college entrance exam results were released, Song Chuchu's private photos spread like wildfire. She even overshadowed the fame of the top scorer. Once again becoming the target of online abuse and trending on social media, with the surname Song, she dragged the entire Song family into the spotlight once more. The Song family's partnerships have significantly decreased, investments have been halved, and cash flow almost dried up. Song Heshan was in deep worry, even forgetting to ask about my college entrance exam results. It wasn't until 3 days later that teachers from Tsinghua and Peking University came to visit. Is this the home of student Xiaoxiu? I'm here to deliver her admission notice. Confused due to several sleepless nights, Song Heshan asked. Notification, my daughter is Xiaoxiu, but her grades aren't good. You must have made a mistake, right? Is it Xiaoxiu from class 12, senior 3 at Rongjing Middle School? Yes, then there's no mistake. Didn't you know, Xiaoxiu has become the top scorer in the science stream of City A? We are truly honored that she has chosen Tsinghua and Peking University. Hello, Mr. Xiaoxiu. Could we interview the science top scorer for her thoughts? Song Heshan was a mix of surprise and bewilderment, hurriedly instructing the nanny to call me. When I came down, I spoke confidently in front of the crowd of journalists and media. These scenes were all uploaded to various video platforms. Song Chuchu was green with envy and went crazy, directly finding a local gang leader to block me. But she didn't know that ever since I became the top scorer in the college entrance exam, my dad has been taking me everywhere he goes. Because of me, the stock of the Song Group has seen 5 consecutive rises, and investment collaborations have been pouring in. Isn't that like treating me as a panda under protection? When Song Chuchu came to block me with my older brother, my dad was just buying me some water. When he turned around and saw this scene, he was almost furious. After being brutally beaten by my father's men, the gang leader ended up in prison, where he also spilled the beans about Song Chuchu hiring him for the hit. In the past, Song Heshan might have chosen not to pursue the matter, but now, with Song Chuchu caught red-handed, Song Heshan not only decisively sent her to prison but also issued a statement severing all ties with her. It was all her own doing. It is said that after leaving the Song family, Song Chuchu still lived extravagantly, with all her expenses coming from the money Jiang Huai earned as a gigolo. Not long after Song Chuchu was confined, Jiang Huai was sentenced to half a year for allegedly defrauding a wealthy woman. Jiang Huai missed the college entrance exam and had no intention of retaking it. As he had grown accustomed to quick money, he quit his regular job after less than half a month and went back to being a gigolo. Under the hollow life of luxury and indulgence, he unexpectedly became addicted to gambling. To repay his debts, he had to work even harder as a male model. The next time I saw the bullet screen was 3 years later, when I had successfully secured a recommendation for graduate studies. Pei Yingyan and friends celebrated with me at a karaoke bar. Over the years, although Pei Yingyan and I were at the same school, we didn't develop into a romantic relationship. We remained just very good friends. As soon as I walked in, the bullet screen flew across my vision like snowflakes. Sister Treasure, your first love is here. Come and save him. All these years, he's actually had you in his heart. Just a flick of your finger, and you'll be swept off your feet. I looked up and sure enough, saw Jiang Huai with his abs showing, leaning against the sofa, melancholy staring at me. I suddenly felt a chill run down my spine. I wanted to leave right away, but I was too curious about his ability to write Damiku for me. So I hired him with money and sent him straight to the lab. After several rounds of electric shocks, he howled and mumbled something about a system, a strategist, and all sorts of gibberish, which sounded like an ability to establish some kind of contractual relationship through thoughts. Only then did I realize that my interest in Jiang Huai was also due to the system giving him a perfectly aesthetically pleasing appearance that aligned with my tastes. I wasn't particularly interested in the system and had planned to let it go. But my perverted senior in the same group was very enthusiastic. Can the system be extracted and used by someone else? What consequences would forcibly extracting it have on the host? Shock, slicing, whipping. What method can extract the system? He forcibly brought Jiang Huai into the National Research Institution. All I know is that Jiang Huai might be treated as a real test subject, and the consequences are too terrible to contemplate. Meanwhile, my world finally became peaceful. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.